Dance of the Dragons was a war that destroyed families, shattered kingdoms, and turned the greatest power in Westeros, the dragons themselves, into weapons of destruction. But among all the Targaryens who fought for the Iron Throne, one young prince stood out not because he was the strongest warrior or the most ruthless player, but because he was the one person who truly wanted to become a great king. Jacaerys Velaryon, the firstborn son of Rhaenyra Targaryen, spent his entire life fighting a battle before the actual war even began. He was born with a crown waiting for him, but also with rumors, hatred, and enemies questioning whether he deserved it. He was a prince who had to prove his blood, his loyalty, and his worth every single day. But Jace was more than just the rumored heir to the Iron Throne. He was a skilled diplomat, a dragon rider, a protector of his family, and perhaps the biggest lost potential of House Targaryen. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. In this video, we are going to uncover the complete story of Jacaerys Velaryon, from his childhood and the secrets surrounding his birth, to his rise as Rhaenyra's greatest hope, his role in the Dance of the Dragons, and finally the devastating Battle of the Gullet that changed everything. This is the tragic story of the prince who was born to rule, but never got the chance to wear the crown. The birth of the boy who was destined to rule. Jacaerys Velaryon, known as Jace, was born into a world where being a prince did not guarantee a peaceful life. From the moment he entered the world, his future was already tied to the greatest political conflict Westeros had ever seen. He was the firstborn son of Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, the woman chosen by King Viserys I to inherit the Iron Throne. Officially, Jace was the son of Rhaenyra Velaryon, making him the heir of both House Targaryen and House Velaryon. But almost immediately, whispers began spreading through the realm. Unlike trueborn Velaryons, Jace had brown hair and features that did not match the traditional Valyrian appearance. Many nobles believed that his real father was not Rhaenor, but Sir Harwin Strong, the powerful knight who was secretly close to Rhaenyra. This rumor became the biggest burden of Jace's life. He was a prince, but many people believed he was a fraud. He had a claim to the Iron Throne, but his enemies constantly searched for ways to destroy that claim. The tragedy of Jace was that he was forced to prove himself before he was even old enough to understand what a crown meant. Growing up between love and suspicion, Jace grew up alongside his younger brothers Lucerys and Joffrey, as well as his Targaryen cousins Aegon, Helaena, and Aemond. But while children normally grow up with friendships and rivalries, these children were born into a political battlefield. The conflict between Rhaenyra and Alicent Hightower slowly poisoned their family. Jace was not naturally cruel. In fact, compared to many other members of his family, he was thoughtful and patient. He understood that one day he would have to rule, and unlike many young nobles, he actually prepared for that responsibility. But every insult about his parentage hurt him. When people questioned whether he was truly a Velaryon, they were not only attacking his mother, they were attacking his entire identity. The person who protected him most was Harwin Strong. Harwin saw Jace not as a political problem, but as his son. When Criston Cole humiliated Jace and Luke, Harwin defended them violently, accidentally revealing the emotional connection between them. That moment confirmed what many already suspected. Soon after, Harwin was forced away from King's Landing, leaving Jace without the father figure he had grown attached to. This loss shaped him. He learned that being part of the royal family meant losing the people you loved.
Jacaerys Vermax.
The prince who wanted to prove himself. As Jace grew older, he became more determined to prove that he deserved the throne. He studied history, politics, and diplomacy. He learned High Valyrian and trained as a dragon rider. His dragon was Vermax, a young but powerful dragon who represented his Targaryen blood. Jace understood that strength alone would not make him a good king. Westeros did not need another warrior who only knew how to burn enemies. It needed someone who could unite people. This was what separated Jace from many other Targaryens. Aegon wanted pleasure, Aemond wanted power, Daemon wanted glory, but Jace wanted legitimacy. He wanted to show everyone that even if they doubted his birth, his actions would prove his worth.
To you and your family's good health, dear uncles.
The Dance of Dragons begins. Everything changed after King Viserys died. The Greens secretly crowned Aegon to be on T, ignoring Rhaenyra's claim. Suddenly, the question of inheritance was no longer a political argument. It became a war. Rhaenyra was crowned queen by her supporters, and Jace became the future king of the Blacks. But the first great tragedy came quickly. His brother Lucerys was killed by Aemond Targaryen and Vhagar. For Jace, Luke's death was more than a family loss. Luke was the person who shared the same struggles. They both lived with the rumors and insults. They both knew what it felt like to be judged. After Luke died, the last possibility of peace disappeared. The boy who once dreamed of diplomacy now had to survive a war.
To the whole of the realm, my lord. We cannot wage it without the support of the...
Jace the diplomat who saved the Black Cause. One of Jace's greatest achievements came when he became Rhaenyra's most important messenger. While others wanted to immediately unleash dragons, Jace understood that winning the war required alliances. He traveled across Westeros, meeting powerful houses and convincing them to support his mother. This was the moment where Jace truly looked like a future king. He did not threaten people. He negotiated. He listened. He promised loyalty. His success helped strengthen the Black Cause and showed that he had the intelligence needed to rule. But the war continued becoming more brutal, and soon, Jace had to make one of the most important decisions of the entire conflict.
Matali.
It's better than death and defeat.
The Dragonseeds and the search for more riders. The Blacks had dragons, but many were without riders. Jace suggested finding people with Valyrian blood who could claim the abandoned dragons. This plan was risky, but it could change the entire war. The idea worked. New dragon riders joined the Blacks, increasing their power. But it also created a dangerous problem. Dragons had always been symbols of Targaryen superiority. Suddenly, ordinary people were controlling the greatest weapons in the world. For Jace, this was complicated. He had spent his whole life defending his own legitimacy, and now he had to accept others with questionable blood claims writing dragons. It was another reminder that the world he lived in was never simple.
Heard.
If you die,
Then you will at last be king.
The Battle of the Gullet, Jace's final flight. The Battle of the Gullet became the moment where Jace's story ended. It was one of the most devastating battles of the Dance of the Dragons, and the opening of Season 3, Episode 1 turns the conflict into a full-scale disaster. The Triarchy forces attacked the Velaryon fleet, threatening one of the Black faction's most important advantages. The Velaryons controlled the seas, and if their fleet was destroyed, Rhaenyra's entire war effort could collapse. Jace knew the danger. He also knew his mother wanted to fight, but he refused to let Rhaenyra join the battle because he believed protecting her was more important than victory. In his mind, the future queen could not be risked. This decision showed exactly who Jace was. He was not chasing glory. He was trying to protect his family. But then the battle became chaos. Jace and Vermax entered the fight, attacking enemy ships from above. The sky became filled with dragons, fire, and smoke. The sea below turned into a battlefield of burning ships and desperate soldiers. At the same time, Rhaenyra Targaryen arrived riding Sheepstealer, the wild dragon she had finally bonded with. But Sheepstealer was not like a trained Targaryen dragon. He was unpredictable and difficult to control. When Sheepstealer entered the battle, confusion spread. Jace saw another dragon attacking the battlefield and believed it was an enemy. He prepared to strike, but then realized the rider was Rhaenyra. That hesitation changed everything. Instead of attacking, Jace pulled Vermax away. He chose not to kill his own family member, but in a war where a single second could decide life or death, that mercy became his weakness. The enemy ships fired a heavy weapon that struck Vermax and pulled the dragon down toward the water. The young dragon struggled as the weight dragged him beneath the waves. Jace survived the fall. For a moment, it looked like he might escape, but Vermax was gone, and Jace was now alone in the middle of the battlefield. Clinging to wreckage in the sea, he was spotted by enemy forces. The Triarchy soldiers fired arrows at him. The first arrow wounded him. The next strikes killed him. Jacaerys Velaryon, the boy who spent his entire life trying to become worthy of a crown, died before ever sitting on the throne. Our nerdy thoughts. Jace's death was not just another casualty of war. It destroyed Rhaenyra's future. She lost Lucerys. Then she lost Jace. The two sons who represented her hope were gone. What makes Jace's story tragic is that he was actually becoming the kind of ruler Westeros needed. He was intelligent, patient, and willing to sacrifice himself for others. He was not perfect. He carried insecurity. He carried anger. He carried the fear that he would never be accepted. But those struggles also made him understand people better. Jacaerys Velaryon was a prince who never got the chance to become king. He spent his entire life proving he belonged. And in the end, he proved it with his final act. He died protecting his family, his mother, and the future he believed in. In another timeline, Jace could have been one of the greatest Targaryen rulers. But in the world of Westeros, where dragons destroy everything they touch, even the best heirs become victims of the Game of Thrones. And that was the tragic story of Jacaerys Velaryon, a prince who had everything needed to become a great king, except time. His life was filled with doubt, war, and impossible choices. But in the end, Jace proved his worth not with a crown, but with his final sacrifice. The Dance of the Dragons didn't just destroy armies. It destroyed the future of an entire generation, and Jace was one of its greatest losses. Thanks for watching Nerdy Show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master, and I'll see you in the next one.
Already, we can win this victory.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.